Hello YouTubers. Actually, I had an experience last night which I really didn't expect to happen. As I told you before, I think I've told you, I know I've told somebody, when we first moved in this flat, I heard footsteps on the old tiles. I've photographed orbs in here. I've captured EVPs. Most of my EVPs on YouTube are from this flat. And anyway, let me turn this light off. You're getting too much white out there. Anyway, last night I took my dog in the garden. It must have been about 2:30 in the morning. Came back in, got back into bed, and I hadn't gone back off to sleep at that point. Anyway, I got in, and you know when you get in, you want to, excuse me, I'm trying to sort my necklaces out. You know when you try to get yourself back off to sleep, you can't go off to sleep straight away. Anyway, started to close my eyes, started to try to get myself to drift off to sleep, and I don't know, I suddenly found myself wide awake. I mean, not half in asleep and half out asleep, I mean wide awake. So I looked down at the bottom of our bed, and I saw this figure standing at the end of the bed. Now, my first thought was, well, maybe I'm hallucinating, because, you know, the wardrobe is at the bottom of the bed, and I thought maybe there's got to be something there creating the illusion. There's this woman at the bottom of the bed. I can even still see her. And I could see her hands, I could see her hair, I could see the way she had her hair fixed and everything. And, hold on a second. Anyway, I don't know, you didn't see her last night, did you? The figure I saw at the bottom of the bed last night, you didn't see anything, did you? I think you were asleep. Anyway, I looked at the bottom of this bed, and it was like, I didn't get scared, I didn't panic, because it don't bother me. Apparently, if you've had a near-death experience, it's not unusual to have these experiences. So, but I just stood there staring for a long time. I don't know how long, but I just kept looking at her. And she said something about someone dying or something, and I didn't really understand it. It's just like it popped into my head. I just looked at her, so I thought, first I was, when you first see something, your heart skips a beat because you're not really sure what it is you're seeing. So me, being me, I thought, well, I have to get a closer look at this woman, And as I moved forward in the bed to get right close to her, because it wasn't that much distance between me and her, so I moved closer. That's how awake I was. So I moved closer to her. She vanished, just completely vanished. And the thing is, what she looks like is still stuck in my head, and I'm not sure if she's a former tenant that used to live here, or who she was, because I have picked up on a woman's voice in this flat. There's also, my husband and I both smelled cigar smoke in this flat. This spare room, my husband had his hair lifted, like this, like someone, see, you got physically lifted, that much hair was lifted up on his head. And you see, you got physically lifted, and that's what was done with his hair, except there was no one touching his hair physically, it was just him and me in this room, but somebody lifted up his hair. And you just I've learned not to fear it, because if I fear it and become afraid of it, if it's negative, it'll just feed on my fears. So I just try to understand what it is I see. Like I said, when you first don't expect to see something or hear anything, your heart is going to skip a beat, because it's totally unexpected. I mean, like, the first time I had an EVP come over a two-way radio, was expecting it to come over on the tape player, so when it came up through the two-way, yes, it did frighten me, because it was totally unexpected. And not only that, the two-way was behind me and not in front of me, so it was like someone snuck up behind me. You know how when someone sneaks up behind you, how that gets you. But no, this woman I saw at the bottom of the bed, that's only like the second apparition I've seen in this flat. The first one was a little girl, but I don't know if my husband's ever seen her. He hasn't ever said. And I saw her, and she was just sort of standing there and looking down at me like she could see me. I mean, I knew I could see her, but it's like she was specifically focused on me, not my husband, on me. So she was, whatever she was doing, she was trying to get my attention. But I kept thinking, when I first saw her, like I said, I thought, like I said, I was awake, so I thought I must be imagining seeing this woman. And like I said, it wasn't long after I brought the dog in from the garden, so I hadn't got back to sleep or anything. And yet there she was. And like I said, I can still see her features plain as day in my head. She was about 5'8", 5'10" height. She had her hair was short, and it was sort of brown, and I could see it was curly like up here. Her clothing, strange enough, sort of appeared dark, but I could see her hands. It's the strange thing, I could see her hair, her face, and her hands, but I couldn't make out too much what she was wearing. So after she disappeared, I examined, and the strange thing was as well, last night was a full moon, so the moon was coming into the bedroom, which lit the room up, so there was no way I could mistake the wardrobe for this woman. So when I reanalyzed, I had to anyway, because I have to analyze what I see. And when after she disappeared, I again analyzed the wardrobe, and there was nothing there that would even give the illusion of a person. So, but there was definitely someone at the end of the bed and in front of the wardrobe. And mind you, I have to be honest, it's not the first time I've ever had an encounter with apparitions. I've seen a monk, and I've seen my first terrifying apparition I saw was in America, and that one scared me for I think it's because I said he wasn't real, and he tore something off the wall. That one I didn't really like, because he was right over the bed, and he was looking straight at me, and he was dark, and like the woman last night, you could see some of her features. This guy was just, he was like a silhouette, and you couldn't really, you could see, he looked like he had by the shape of his silhouette that he had a bald head, but you couldn't see any features of him. But the woman and the little girl, I was able to see their features, and the monk, I could just tell he was a monk, but I couldn't see any facial features on him. And funny enough, if I can see their features, they don't frighten me, because I'm able to see what I'm looking at. I'm able to make sense of what I'm looking at. But the man in silhouette and the monk, took my brain longer to realize what I was seeing, because there wasn't any real features to acknowledge. But the girl and the woman, they definitely had distinctive features. And like I said, I've learned not to fear what I don't understand, because that's why I study the paranormal. That's why, because I've had it around me all my life. And I've just learned that in order to, I have to understand it, so I don't inadvertently invoke evil spirits, or be able to recognize them if they try to penetrate into my realm of reality. So yeah, I just think that knowledge of what you experience is